Today's smarter agent, you're in contract, now what? I think the first thing with the what is keep referring to your app files. So, right now, what we're gonna look at a bit is our seller's guide. Even though we call it a seller's guide, guys, it applies to buyers and sellers. All of these things that we've written kind of cross over a lot because both sides typically work very similar, right? Okay, so this portion, page 6, spells out the seller action plan. So you need to know these things, be able to guide your buyer or seller through these with confidence. And including the lender's good faith estimate that should have been provided to your buyer. If you are in contract and you don't have a good faith estimate from the lender, you need to call and ask them where it is. Okay, because that should be one of the first things you see.
Can you explain what is that document?
The good faith estimate, that's the lender in good faith is saying, here's about what your loan is.
So that's a big approval. No.
So
Similar, but no. The good faith estimate spells out exactly what their rate's gonna be, what insurances should cost, what all these things
And
should
who gives
cost,
the,
all the lender,
The
all the
lender,
costs that are included, and what their payment should be.
okay,
That's a good faith estimate.
so is that
Okay.
before basically anything starts in a way? And then they get the pre-approval,
No, they get the pre-approval based on what they can afford.
okay,
The good faith estimate is more based upon, I want to buy a home in this value range. And I found this home. Can you tell me what my cost would be
Got it.
on
Okay.
this home?
okay,
And typically, I don't see that until we have somebody in contract and I shoot it to the lender.
okay,
Because now, here's the things to remember. We're responsible for doing everybody else's job for them. Don't think that they're gonna do their job for them, and you'll get to a closing table.
mhm,
Don't do their job for them, but watch them flounder and laugh at them and see if you get to a closing table. We want to help everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, so seller's action plan, that was what we were talking about back there. Number one, negotiate to sell, right? We're working on negotiations, even after we're in contract, now what? Of course, you're having your inspections and things, and you may go back to the negotiation table depending on what they find. How about appraisals and inspections? We need to know if a home's going to appraise. If it ends up not appraising, then you are back to negotiation. What if you have a ton of different inspection issues that arise, repairs that you didn't know were coming? You're back to negotiation. So as realtors, we need to remember that we are really negotiators and marketers. That's our two main jobs, okay? If we can't do one without doing the other. It's very rare for that to happen. So there's that. But our big thing is we want to get to contracted closing. Okay, so our thing is holding everybody's hand every step of the way. We want to see that appraisal. We want to see that inspection schedule. We want to be around for inspections. If you can't be there for the whole inspection, at least try and be there for the last half an hour of it. So the inspector can review what they found with you. So you can talk to your buyer or seller with a brain instead of just, well, here's the pictures. I don't know. A lot of companies tell their agents not to go to inspections. Why? Because they're afraid that they'll open their mouth and they'll start pointing out other things to their buyer or seller, typically their buyer. And all of a sudden, they're the inspector. I don't think people realize it. If you're in a home with a buyer and you start pointing out, oh, look at that, the electric outlets are open up there. They're gonna need to fix that. Wow, the hot water heater. Even I know it's supposed to have a discharge line that connects and goes down. It can't just shoot straight out like that. All of a sudden, you can be sued for what's wrong with that house because you didn't point it out because you're the licensed inspector now. Or you're acting as one,
And
you
your
put on the other hat.
fire attend the inspections with you?
They should,
Okay.
okay? But again, be sure which hat you're wearing.
Mhm.
Can you point those things out to the inspector? Absolutely. Should you be doing that privately with your buyer? No. There's a fine line. Do people do it all the time? Yes. Some of us stick our foot in our mouth, but
Now, I'm seeing this, I'm
Also,
not a
kind of depends on our,
inspector, I am a realtor, but
Yeah, that's a way you can phrase things. There's always ways you can phrase things and, you know, or they'll call you over. Hey, did you see this? What's wrong with this staining in this wall? And you give your opinion. I don't know, it doesn't look right to me. Let me get the inspector to have a look at that.
Mhm.
Right? That's fair. So you're getting through these things and you got to the other side. Everything's wrapped up. You've gone through your negotiations. The seller realized that there's another $10,000 worth of routine maintenance and upkeep items that he had not done or she had not done. And now she gets to pay for it, or he gets to pay for it, just in time for somebody else to take ownership of the house, but yet they lived with it all those years. Why? Talk to your sellers ahead of time. Say, hey, look, we can offset a lot of these things that the inspector is going to find, right? And that's the way we pre-negotiate with our sellers. We help them. Or we tell them that, hey, it's going to become a negotiation after inspections, up to you. And some people don't care. They just don't. It's like turning in a car at a used car dealership. I don't care what you're giving me for it, just buy it. Okay, so prepare for closing. A few days before settlement, we contact the title company and the buyer's agent to ensure all necessary documents have been prepared. We'll review those documents, and this again is in the seller's action plan. This does not specify everything that I do. We'll get into that. We'll review the closing documents, let you know what additional information you need to bring to the closing meeting, and for goodness sakes, make sure that buyers and sellers bring their driver's licenses. So you're at the closing. Meet at the closing, ownership of your property is legally transferred to the buyer. It's not transferred prior to closing, and even if closing occurs and funding hasn't occurred, it's not a done deal. They do not own that property until it funds. Okay, that's just the way it works. So if at all possible, be present. You want to make sure everything goes according to plan. If it's been a challenging closing, bring your file with you because you may have to answer some questions, right? So, closing schedule. Backing up again, this is page 7. Termite clearance letter, and of course, in our manual, guys, these are all in a stream. They're not broken up one page to the next like this. Termite clearing letter. We need to make sure that the WDO or wood destroying organisms cleared. And we need a copy of that letter, do we not? It needs to be in our file because insurance companies are going to want it. Inspection. Buyer has the right to inspect, right? And then they have to request standards 15 days, but these days that's backed up a bit to 7 to 10 days. Oftentimes I still try for 14 if we can get it. But the fact of the matter is during that report, they're going to ask for a number of things to be done, and we can figure out how to deal with it. If I'm the buyer's agent and the seller's doing the repairs, I'm going to ask for receipts. Everybody asks for licensed folks, licensed contractors. I just want receipts. And the fact of the matter is, if it's work that requires a licensed contractor, it needs to be done by a licensed contractor. That's all. Insurance. You can't do that without having not this whole full-blown freaking thing. We don't give an insurance company the full-blown home inspection unless you just don't want your buyer to be insured. It's not that we're being dishonest. It just makes their brains blow because they're looking at, this door seal's no good. This screw's loose. This things that really don't apply to insurance. Insurance is our 4-point, right? We're going to get forward into that too, and our wind mitigation insurance or statements and termite clearance. So once termites cleared, inspections are all cleared, we get insurance. Don't expect your buyer to just automatically go get insurance. A lot of them, I'm convinced, day before go, oh, I need insurance. Let's do our jobs. Let's provide them with insurance companies. Let's reach out to insurance companies for them. Get quotes. This is our job. Our job is to do everybody else's job. Okay? It just is. It's the way we paint the picture and we put it all together. Same thing with utilities. Make arrangements to have them transferred to new homeowner's name. Of course, the new homeowner is going to have to do that, but that would be the day of closing. Don't do it beforehand because what if it somehow blows up and doesn't close? They're paying the utilities. Right. Yeah, well, for after either. Unless it's a new build. New bill will give you a week.
Hmm.
App files. Sorry, I didn't paint it in red. This is all in app files, guys. And this is the portion. You've accepted the contract. Now, how's the workflow go? You do the home and pest inspections, you remove the contingencies that go with those, right?
Mhm.
At the same time, not separately, at the same time, the buyer has completed their mortgage application. Very important to be done within 5 days. I prefer to have it done before that, of course, as soon as they're in contract. Why would they not have that done?
Mhm.
Then they're gonna get a credit report done and they're going to get an appraisal done on the property. All of a sudden, this now all rolls down to underwriting, where they either get a rejection or they get a conditional approval. This is with conditions, okay? Conditions means that you have to have the acceptable contracts in hand. You have to have all of these things done. There's gonna be conditions, or some people gotta pay off a credit card or pay off a car. There are things, okay? Or maybe the seller has to give them 3%, like we were talking about earlier. So you obtain the loan approval. Sweet. This is huge. That typically means you're heading to closing.
Mhm.
Now you need to do a survey. Nothing could ever go wrong with a survey, right? Oh my gosh, guys, there's encroachments. There's things that do go wrong with surveys. You want a copy of the survey too. All of these things you want to build in your own app file system so that when somebody needs something next year or for closing, you push a button, it's right there. And who looks so professional when it's oh, I don't know where it is, but I'm sure it's in my app files. I'll get it to you tomorrow. If not today. Right, because I'm out in the field working with other buyers and sellers right now, but as soon as I'm in front of my computer, I'll get it to you. People are like, awesome. You actually have all that? Yes. Contact title company. Why would that possibly be our job?
Because we have the full versions.
Well, yes, we do. And what do we provide to the title company?
Documents.
Everything.
Everything, every single thing, because they'll say, yeah, oh yeah, the buyer's agent already sent it to me, and now you're the listing agent. It's like, well, we just want to make sure. So here's absolutely everything that was executed, including the extension of the closing time period, by the way.
Mhm.
And you've got to call it out to them what you're sending them and bulletproof that in your email to them, and they'll go, oh, this is great, they did all my work for me. But it makes it easier.
Mm.
And what do we want? We want smooth and easy closings, yes. So now they're gonna do their title exam and title insurance. We have no call on that. We want to make sure that it is clear, but we don't have the say in that. You close on the property and people take possession of their new home. That process, everything we just discussed is in app files. No one tells you, this is fun, things no one tells you and expects you to know. This is, again, somebody made me go, let me think about this. So again, first of all, study the app file trainings. It really lays out a ton of these things. Some of them are broken out in different areas, but the more you guys delve into app files too, and the more I look in even in refresh, as we all should be refreshing, the better we do, okay? So the first thing, as the professional agent, we've talked about this a ton of times, you're the orchestra director, make music. You are the one that's getting everything to everybody like we just talked about. Your job is to stay in contact with everyone. I said on your side of the deal, and yes, that includes the buyer's lender, not the buyer if you are the seller. Okay, you do not reach out to them. If they reach out to you, talk to them. No problem, but you can't reach out to them. That's illegal, okay? So again, we want to stay in touch with everybody. And that's going to be, even if the surveyor doesn't have their job done, you've got their contact, call them.
What's your transaction broker
What?
with as far as the buyer? If you're the.
You still can't talk to the buyer unless you represent both. We work as transaction brokers,
Legal
period.
agent.
Right.
No. If we work, I know where you're getting at. We work as transaction brokers.
Yep.
Whether we're working for a seller or whether we're working for a buyer.
Yep.
If you have both buyer and seller, that's the only time where you can communicate with both.
Yeah, I think that's what you meant, right?
That's what he
Yeah,
meant.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I assumed you meant. Okay, so be darn sure your buyer understands. Now, is not the time to open a credit card, switch jobs, buy furniture, move money around in their own accounts. You don't even move money around in your own accounts without the lender approval. They just need to sit on their hands until that loan's approved. And it drives people nuts. They have the hardest time with this one.
Yeah,
For 30 days, y'all need to do nothing.
Mhm.
You just can't. And if you do, say, I've had it where we had everything going great and the guy went out and bought an RV.
Mm.
And it's like, say what?
You're buying a home. You're buying a home.
We talked about this. Yeah, but we're gonna park the RV at the house. Got a perfect parking bed. Not anymore. Now you own an RV. You're gonna live in that. I can't, the deal blew up. Can't do it. Done. How about have all your contractual documentation provided to the closing agent? This is the one we were just talking about. This is so important. Guys, everything. I mean, even our brokerage relationship disclosure that we send out, because that clearly identifies our transaction fees and such. It's like, did they sign to that? They sure did, because there are companies that want to see where that's signed. And so just clearly give them everything. Well, maybe not on the listing side. You don't want to, you can give them your listing docs too, but what you don't give them is the package that we do for data entry on the MLS.
Hmm.
Right? That has no bearing on them whatsoever. But the listing does, because the listing clearly shows what was agreed to be paid in commissions. And I send them a copy of the MLS sheet as well.
Hmm.
Oftentimes I get that initialed by all parties as well. So past survey, why would we bring a past survey? It saves money if it's recent enough. They may not need to get a survey. Who's not gonna be happy about that? How about a past title policy? It often saves on, not title costs. All right, so it's just one of those things where if we can help save somebody money, why wouldn't we do that? And most people save those things. You do have some that don't have them, even though they know they've got it. And it's like, well, who closed it last? Then our job is a good realtor, right?
Mhm.
Good agent, call that title company. And try and get those things. Why not? Even if you're saving somebody on the other side, $500 or $600, it's just the right thing to do. Do you have to? No. Okay. So the WDO clear letter, we want to make sure we get that to them. The 4-point and wind mitigation inspection for insurance, that's all for the insurance. They will get the WDO, the 4-point, and the wind mit. That's all an insurance company wants to see.
Mhm.
Don't forget to have the utility data contacts and switch over to them in the day of closing. We just talked about that. So you need to keep in contact with who? Everybody. That's the bottom line. People are like, what? Even the pest control company? Yeah, if you haven't gotten the documentation from them yet, or maybe they sent it to your buyer, they think they did and nobody got it. Because you gotta have that to get it to the insurance company.
Mhm.
And everybody goes, well, that would be my buyer's responsibility, right? And it's like, no, it's your responsibility. If we just assume that every single thing is our responsibility, it'll go great. If we start pointing fingers and saying, well, they should have done that, or they should have done that, and we don't take complete responsibility for the whole thing, it's very often that balls get dropped and you don't get the deal done, and it's frustrating. And I've been at the closing table when somebody hasn't had insurance and we're calling at the closing table to get it. And that's where I really backed up. This was my bad. And I backed up and I'm like, yeah, somebody tells me they're working on insurance and they've got it and everything's fine. No, call the insurance company. I verify everything. All it takes is a few times at a closing table where you should be getting paid and everything's gone perfect and that happens. You'll never let it happen again. So learn from my error instead. Keep your app files up to date. This makes it so much easier. If we're literally putting even our email communications, at least the important ones, in our app files, copy and paste them over. No big deal. Every time you're there and you're taking pictures, put them in your app files. It'll store all of them. Yeah, it doesn't store movies though. I've had problems with videos, and I would love to put my videos in there, but it says file too big.
The pictures of what?
Everything.
Everything from the home, like if you're visiting a new build and you take pictures and you send them to your buyers, you might as well put them in your app files.
Wow.
Because if someone comes back and says, my agent never went and checked on the home while it was being built, you have your. And it's time sensitive.
Yeah, and you're not required to. Most builders assume that you won't, but those timestamps are awesome. You're right. But I agree with that and I do that. Okay, so now anticipate that no one else is doing their jobs and they need to hear from you and stay motivated. It's just reality. Whoever squeaks, all of a sudden your deals go through faster than everybody else's. The other agents are sitting there going, I did everything I was supposed to do. Why isn't mine closing? I don't know. Did you do everybody else's jobs too? Probably not. And it's not hard. You can do it all in one day, pretty much. When you're tracking that stuff, right out of the starting gate, just blast all the information to everybody. But then follow up. So it's your job, responsibility to help get your deal done. We just want it to go as smoothly as possible. People wonder why I'm calling. I just want to see my deal go to the closing table smoothly and help my buyers sell it. It's all about helping our buyers and sellers. I don't want to see any balls get dropped, right? Okay, what about a new build? We're just talking about this one. They expect you to know everything. Many builders expect untrained or lazy agents that don't even track their progress. That's the norm. So they try to paint us all into that picture and they will try to keep you out of the loop. I don't understand it. And they hear from me routinely when this is going on. But oftentimes you have to get the information because it's through secure means. You have to get it from your buyer and work that way. It still aggravates me. Anyway, visit the home site. Keep up with photos as possible. Send them to your buyer. You're not acting as an inspector. You're just keeping the buyer in the know of what's happening and isn't happening, right? So I put my foot in my mouth on that one. I know I do a lot, but I was a licensed contractor for a very long time. If I see a drain out in the middle of a floor that I know belongs in that bathroom, I'm gonna point it out. And I'm gonna point it out not just to the buyer, I'm gonna call the superintendent and make sure they're aware. Oftentimes they're like, oh crap. Then they get it fixed, okay? But same thing with, sometimes you see these plastic poster stuff sticking up out of the floor in family rooms and people are like, what the heck's that for? It's marking an outlet. They've got an the floor outlet. These things, you can know some of those basics. But the nice thing about when you're going through a new home is, hey, it looks to me like the insulation's in. Don't know if they have their inspection done on it yet, but this is getting exciting, right? Hey, look, your bathroom's right here. Doesn't mean you're saying the plumbing's right or wrong, right? They got the roof on, yay. People love to hear that. Is this the paint color you picked? Right? And all of a sudden, they love you. They would never use anybody else. Let the builder's lender know who you are. Has to be kept in the loop. Expect that they'll forget you promptly. Okay? Listen to that one. They'll forget you the minute you hang up the phone. So you need to get their email as well. And you need to stay on top of them because it's almost like we're third-class citizens for some reason in the transaction to them. To them, we have nothing to do with getting the transaction done at this point. And they're wrong. Get the name of the construction superintendent and make contact with them. Expect them to possibly change a few times. I've had it where we've gone through 3 or 4 construction superintendents on the same house.
Wow.
Talk about a zoo and the home stalls because they don't know where they're at. So it's very hard, but it happens. So again, get a hold of them, know who they are. When you go out to the job site, you can ask around and see if they're even there and ask how things are going. Because that way you can really give your buyer a good update. And if you do that once a week, they'll know you when you pull on the construction side. I get, hey Kent, what's up, man? All the time. And you guys see a lot of my posts. I mean, I try to go out at least every week to 10 days to new builds. It's not that hard to do. And if you post it on your social medias, people see you working. Staying home, that's okay. They see you out there working all the time. So again, reach out to the builder's title company. See who's assigned to your file, who's the closing agent, and introduce yourself. See if they have everything they need. And again, this is where you sent it all out, but if it's switched hands and now there's a new closing agent, you know what's so simple? You already sent it all out the first time, right? Go back to that original email and just forward it to them and say, hey, here's the original email I sent out with all the data on the file. Please let me know if you need anything else.
Hmm.
Who's the professional in the room?
Yeah.
How about, yeah, that's right. How about go to the builder walkthroughs? I like that. Chris is like me. How about going to the builder's walkthroughs at various stages?
Mhm.
The builder's not even gonna let you know when those are. Most of them aren't. No, most of them aren't. However, who will is the superintendent that you're keeping in touch with. It's very nice, but usually no. But they'll reach out to your buyer. So you need to let your buyer know that this is what happens. And they need to keep you in the loop with any emails that they get. And then sometime you'll get emails they don't get. So you just keep each other in the loop, okay? So again, walkthroughs at various stages, go with your buyer. You're not there to point out things that are wrong. You're there to question things sometimes. Hey, I remember you said you wanted the cabinetry pantry and they've built in a frame pantry there. Is that what you wanted? Is that what was agreed to? I thought it was an open handrail, guys, and you guys framed the railing. Is that common?
Mhm.
Yeah, all the time. So if you were there for the purchase of the property, you know what some of their things are. I always ask also when they send you, not just, they'll try to just send you the brokerage agreement, commission agreement. And then they're like, bye. Because we're paying you, now go away. They don't like the ones of us that don't go away, but they work with us. And the homes typically get done faster. Okay, because they want rid of us. But the reality of it is they like working with us because we make them look good or bad, depending on who they are and what they're doing. But it is just important to make sure of these things. So again, keep everybody in the loop, right? And then it's just so fun. You go to the builder's walkthrough, final walkthrough. That's so important to be there for your buyer. You may not say a word. Their rep, their superintendent's going to be showing them everything about the house. You literally may be in the back having a sip of coffee, and they're just thrilled you're there. Okay, it's important to them. Mhm. And get them to sign your final walkthrough form, even on a new build. Why would we not have them sign that they're accepting it in that condition?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It makes it very difficult for them to come back on you. Okay, well, we're not accepting in this condition. They have to do these things. Are you closing? Then right now you're accepting it and you're saying that they are conditions that the builders are gonna meet, but for our firm, we just need to sign this.
Yeah.
Okay, and put it in your app file. Don't make us look for it. Get photos of the homes sold with selfies. Publish them to your social media. And share them with the office too, so we can effectively celebrate you and your buyers on social media too. Chris, you've been good with that. Joey off and on. Oh my God, Joey puts all his out there and I'm like, give them to me. He's been good with it too. And Daphne, I'm gonna put the one that you gave me up too. So you got the one with the lady with the sold sign.
Oh, yeah.
Got it, too.
where-
I was kind of hoping for a better picture of the house to put with that. I think I'll just put her up there. Anyway, it's good. So I try and keep up with those things too. If you don't see them come out on our Instagram or on our Facebook, call me and let me know because we want to keep up with those things the best we can. What I do try to do though is not do them all on one day.
Mhm.
I want to rotate it and try and do something routinely.
Have like a
Yes.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you can, that'd be awesome. Okay? That's my goal.
Every week.
Let me paint this vision. I want to do one every day for each of you guys, every other day. Yeah, okay. But it's true. So that's really, getting a feel for that. What about the Alta review? What's an Alta?
That is the,
Thanks, Mark.
basically breakdown, I forget what the actual letter stands for, but it's gonna be a breakdown of costs of closing, so the debits and credits to both seller and buyer.
Mhm. And I don't remember what it stands for either. I just call it closing statement.
The American Land and Title Association.
There you go. All love, truth, and
All love.
and
Always.
always. There it is. Oh, too fun. So remember this when you're reviewing it. just because you have an attorney that's overseeing this thing, and a title professional, they're people. They make mistakes.
Yeah.
What they assume you're going to look at when you get it is, yeah, your commission.
Okay.
Right, looks
You
great
made
to me.
movies.
Yeah, but instead, if we consider it a significant part of our job, it changes things.
Yeah.
We're not just gonna go, yep, all good. We're gonna go, wait a minute. Let's make sure their names are spelled correctly. How about that for a simple starter? Because I found that's the problem more often than
Yeah.
most things. All right. The other thing I see problems with routinely are taxes. It's like, how did your computer not break down the taxes properly? Yeah. Yeah, and well, and they forget transaction fees, or there's just things. So again, verify, ask questions, even if you feel dumb. The only dumb question, of course, is the one you don't ask, and, you go to a closing table and then your buyer looks at you and asks you a question and you go, I meant to ask that.
What do you think about it, Patty?
Right. Yeah. And it is amazing too, guys. You're protecting your buyers and your sellers when you review these things.
Mhm.
It's amazing how many people will just sign.
Mhm.
They assume that you've done your job. A lot of agents don't. Please do your job, guys. Okay? Especially if there's any credits and things, man, we just gotta review these things. It's so important. So. How about when we get down to your buyer? Are we doing a professional job if we don't remind them of the homestead?
Mhm.
I wanted to talk about that too.
Yeah,
Our house, we haven't made our house yet.
why?
I don't know.
I reminded you the day you closed. and
I know. But yeah, I
He's a
wanted
great
to,
realtor.
Okay, well, here's the deal. Now you can do it online and you need to do it by March first.
okay,
If you don't, before the next, you don't
Next
get.
year?
If you do it this March, as of January of the next year, it kicks in.
well, we're
If-
in May.
Okay,
So,
if you don't do it,
uh-huh.
what happens is you're not capping your taxes. So you're saying, please charge me more as home prices are
Yeah.
going up, and I'm gladly just paying them. I don't want to take my family out to that dinner because I didn't do my homestead exemption.
Why is it only that window of January and March?
That's their requirements.
So it's January, March for the.
No, it's not
following year.
January to March. It's to be March. Before
Ah.
March first, you have to file the prior year, then so say 2022. For somebody to have had it this year, they would have had to file by March 2022 to have it for 2023 as.
So right now, we can file it for 2024.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Please do it online or go into them. But that's so important. Because again, you're gonna save them, you're gonna save money.
I know, it just went up so much.
Yeah. And that's a shame because it doesn't need to.
Yeah,
I
And,
was told they go
and,
through all of this, all of these, they
Mhm.
go through in October, is when they update all of the data system stuff. With all the applications for Ramsey County.
And this is,
makes sense. So,
this is by part of the, Save Our Homes Act, correct?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all part of this, because it caps it and just saves you money. And of course, we can do a training strictly on what is the Save Our Homes Act, what is, the homestead exemption, how does it work? Those are things you should know. And the problem for me is I'll study them and then I forget it and I gotta read it again and I do it again. So it's like anything we do, the more you do it, the more you'll know when you're a member. So what do? Congratulations, get your check in the bank. Keep after the next deal right away.
Do you have it?
So many people stop for a week or so
Mhm.
and their momentum, that excitement
So be
goes.
after this.
And if they wait 30 days, because they've done really well, now they're going to the beach every day and going out to dinner every day, looking at buying that new car, thinking I deserve it.
Mhm.
They stop their lead prospecting and lead generating, and all of a sudden, they're starting over in real estate again a month or so later. And they're like, what happened? You stopped. You can't stop this game. It's a constant. So remember at the closing table, don't forget what Kent says. Double your money, fold it in half and keep it in your pocket. Don't go spending it and have a blessed day. All right? I think that is so important.